My name is Bartosz Korajda. I come from company Bosch Rexroth. Probably most of you know this company. I will give you a little bit later a few figures according to that. And I'm really glad to have this chance to share our expectations towards the future world. So we think we are just driving on the right-hand side, not on the left-hand side. This we will see that. And it was pretty amazing to hear this pretty at the very beginning of our sessions. First of all, what I'm going to talk about. I will give you a short and brief information according to Bosch Rexroth and group of Bosch. And finally, I go through a few further points like the project we did and motivation, why we did it actually. And finally, the project setup, how we started with the project, what was the planning part, and how we developed these new products that I'm going to show you later on. And finally, I go to the implementation, and the implementation indeed is not just to say what we did, but also I would like to focus a little bit on the architecture, because I think it's also interesting for you to hear about that. And finally, I will give you a short outlook and towards the future development, and I invite you to, of course, for a short discussion. Maybe before I started, to my person, so I'm since 10 years by the company Bosch Rexroth, and on different area or business units, and at the very moment I am responsible for software development department, and major focus we have embedded programming, software development for engineering system, HMI development, and finally cloud as well. And in this project, in this big department we have also some volunteers. They were ready to invest an engagement towards EEC programming. So, what is the Bosch Rexroth and Bosch Group? I start with Bosch Group. Bosch Group has approximately 73 billion euros in sales per year, and we have nearly 340 employees worldwide. And Bosch is divided actually in 4 major sections, and those sections, if you look on that, we have mobility solutions. Mobility solutions, probably it's this what everybody of you knows real well. So you have cars, and you have brakes, you have control systems, you have ASP, ABS, you have wipers, whatever. Usually it comes from Bosch. This is actually the section I'm talking about, and this section is more powerful by Bosch. So we are doing approximately 60% of share of our sales. And through 3 further sections that I'm going to talk about are doing the share of 40%. This is actually the strategy of Bosch. They want to have different sections with different focus, and want to be prepared also for the change in the future. But what about the different sections I'm going to talk about? This is, first of all, this is industrial technology. This is actually all about drive and control units and packaging processes, the printing and automation. And actually this is the Bosch Rexroth is strong. So we are present exactly here. We have also some other business units like energy and building technology. I presume most of you know this as well, because we are one of the leaders in the area of security today, and we have also strong development in the area of heating systems. So Buderus and Junkers, some of you that invest in a heating system, modern heating system, they probably have exactly this, the Buderus and Junkers and his home. And finally, also well known, home and garden, or I would say this customer goods. First of all, we are talking about power tools, so those screwdrivers, whatever you need at home, and electric probably this is all also from Bosch. And there is also one area of household appliances, refrigerator, washing machines, home and garden solutions for your garden. So this comes from this area. But later on, I'm going to focus on industrial technology. It was just roughly for some information to Bosch Group. What about Rexroth? So Rexroth is doing approximately 5 billion euros in sales per year, and we have, I would say, approximately 30,000 employees worldwide. The focus is indeed Europe. I would say Europe. If you look Europe with Germany, so it's approximately more than 20,000 employees, and the rest is just spread around the globe. What we are investing in the future, so this is actually the point, we have approximately 6.5 share that we are investing in research and development, and it makes 330 million euros per year. And finally, we are present in more than 52 manufacturing locations all over the world, and we are present also in more than 80 countries all over the world. So this is just rough information to us. Some of you probably knows Rexroth from this part of picture. So press, test standards, marine offshore or oil and gas. Why? Because we are really strong. We are coming actually from the hydraulic. And this is you've had from my colleague from Sennegerbogen, then Peter Zeckler, he's actually our customers. So they are taking a lot of techniques from Rexroth and just implementing them in these machines. But I'm not going to talk about cylinders and pumps and hydraulic engines. I'm going to talk about electric. And this is actually the upper part I'm going to focus on. And we have different components like control units, like drives and motors. And those technology is going to be implemented in production machines like packaging, machine tools, in wood production or plastic production. We have also a lot of focus on assembly machines and robotics. This is actually a pretty new market that we have. It's not only about the cooker. We have some small suppliers and small companies. They are pretty interested in making some packaging systems, and they are expecting from us not only the hardware, but they are expecting also the software. And this is actually the point, the change that we have in the last 5 years. We were, I would say 5 years ago, a typical hardware-driven company. So we are just selling a hardware, and it was our profit. In this year, or since last year, we are still investing a lot of money in the software development. I would say we are just changing from the hardware-driven company to software-driven company, because in each components that we are selling, usually we have a software. And this is just rough information about the components that we are producing. And this is we are actually a full liner. So it means each time as a big OEM is coming to us and asking us about the components. So usually we have a full portfolio of products that we can offer him to build a new machine. And maybe some information what is actually about. So we have CNC solutions for cutting machines. We have PLC solutions. I think this is very knows everybody what it's about. We have motion solutions, motion logic control. We have drives. We have a frequency converter. We have I would say just motors, so there's not so much electronic in it, but it's also I would say cash cow for us in this very moment. We have some standard components in Intradin, and here is actually a pretty new solution. This is the hybrid solution. So we are just combining our knowledge from area of electric and from the hydraulic, and we know both products pretty well. So if we are just combine them, so we can achieve the maximal output out of that, and offer our customers a really I would say sexy solution for the. And finally, some solutions for welding system, resistance welding system. So we are the #1 in the world. So probably anybody of you that is driving BMW or Audi or Mercedes, his car body was welded by our system. And finally, tightening system, we are in this area under number 2. This is also by those cars. So, project motivation, why we did it actually. The first point I'd like to talk about is we are coming from a lot. We were working with Excel. So I've had actually in the last few minutes and the last few hours, everybody's using Excel. We as well. And this Excel should show you we have. It's not all our components, but we have a lot of components in the past, and we had some electric macros for that. Some macros for that, and those macros were static. So it means we've just developed them once and just placed on the download portal, and some customers could take them. The problem was only those macros were static. Actually, the word is it says. We were really strongly advised from our customers, guys, you are too slow. Today we are talking about Industry 4.0, we are talking about the digitalization of the production, and you still need 1 year to have a new generation of macros, and you need approximately 6 months to give us an update for the macro. It's actually amazing, so it's not unacceptable. And the other problem was actually as well, so we had no macros for all our products. So we had some, I would say, cash cows for those products. We did it as well, pretty well. But for the rest of the products, so we had some kind of generic macros. So not the whole specification, but we had some number at the very beginning, and then XXXX. So it means it's something generic. So the customer can take it and just implement it in his electric plan. And the feedback from the customers was, there's one problem. Those macros are not reliable, so there are a lot of errors. You are too slow. So it means for us, we are just taking those macros. We are just going to copy and paste it to us. We are just going to implement it pretty new. So they were drawing actually those macros as they need, and it was like the point. The copy and paste error was mentioned before, I would say, in each presentation I've had. This was the copy and paste problem. It was actually by us as well. And finally, a very slow deployment process. This is the deployment process is all about, we had deployment once a year. And I had still discussions with my bosses according to, do we need it really? Can we maybe make a, do we need those macros? What about the customers? They don't need it. They are drawing this on their own, so we can just leave it. And it was, for me, absolutely unacceptable. And most of those macros were not done by us. We had some contractors or subcontractors, and they usually where we had some really long specification according to new products, and we told them, okay, this is the specification, just take it and just implement it, and afterwards we just put it on the download portal, and we are happy. Okay, so we have something. Nobody knew actually what is it, but so for ourselves was okay, we've done, so it's ready. And during the commissioning, we had several problems by maintenance and flexibility towards customers. I've said it already. And actually, this is the pains that we had. And what is actually the motivation for this speech today? The motivation was, first of all, to meet the needs of our customers, to meet the market needs. And we are talking about reduced development time. The time to market has to be reduced. We are coming from the software, and the software means so we are just working agile, and the software is actually we have sprints, and after 3 weeks we usually have the software that we can deliver to our customers, and they say, okay, so you are very fast here, but what about the macros? So it actually doesn't suit at all. So we said, okay, so somehow he's right. The problem with the quality, of course, if the customer is going to wait to so 1 year or half a year, it's pretty clear, and we have this copy and paste arrow. So we are just going to reuse the components that we have already, and less effort by changes. The problem with static macros was, so if we have some sockets and plugs on this macros, so each time we are drawing this once again or copying it. And it would be much more better if you had a generic solution to reuse those macros. And if you have any error bug fix on it, so you're just going to make the bug fix once on a one component, on a one plug, on a one socket, and to implement it just once and spread it all over our products. This is actually the expectation. So we are saving the time. If we have 10,000 macros, and each time we have to make the bug fixing by 10,000 macros, so it's not very efficient. The other point was product data under control by Rexroth. So we are just working a lot with our customers or with our suppliers, and most of those data I've told you, okay, we have them, but we didn't understand really what is it about. So our subcontractors took it, make it ready for us, and that's it. So we put it on the server. And this is actually the expectation. So it means the customers today are they want from us pre-set information like documentation, CAD, macros, bug fixes, release notes. All that should be all on our servers, on our online websites. And this is actually the change that we are just see in this very moment. Most of our colleagues, I say, okay, we are a software company. Usually we were focused only on the software, but now software is not only the software. Software is also the documentation, the overhead, all the things that you need all around. It's not about only one software and coding. And finally, what was for us very important, mostly we are talking about security. So if somebody is taking some from us, so he is asking about security. So if I have solutions for control units, or if I have solutions for our drives, and if I have some algorithms to online download from firmware or for flashing for our drives, it's all about the security. And that's why we said, if we are going to just do the solution, so it should run on a cloud that is made by Bosch, this cloud. Bosch Cloud. So, how we did it? So we set up a team, and this team looks pretty big, but indeed we had only 2 full-time developers on it. Actually those and those one, and those 2 were actually to 20% in this project, involved in this project. Okay, product leader, I think I don't have to explain that. It's clear, so he was not only the face to the customers, he was responsible for coordination of the project. The software development in era of web and cloud computing. This was just at the very beginning by the kickoff, and then some project meetings necessary to find out the solution for our future cloud dashboard. And actually those 2 guys, so software developer, like a software engineer, he was responsible for software development, he was responsible for definition of schematic layouts, he was also responsible for preparation from EEC macros, and finally EEC modeling. And he was I would say he was really strongly involved in the cooperation with our macro developer. His part was, of course, more driven by definition and preparation of EPLAN macros or definition of schematic layouts. So we started with this team, and I will show you a pretty short implemented solution we did. So this is actually the big picture of what we did. So first of all, you can see the web interface from EPLAN that we have. So this is the interface where you can put user product code and generate the data. It runs on Rexroth EEC job server. So here, I think it's not necessary to talk about all these points, but very important is, so you are giving here the type number, then we are just moving to the Rexroth EEC job server, we are just generating here article data, and then you are going back to the surface in EEC, and you can just store your article data in the local database, or you can just move it and place it directly as a macro. I think this is very well known, but it was important for us to do that as well. And finally, this is just a zoom in into the website that we had. So this is actually what I'm talking about. This is the place where you can put the type code of the drive of the control unit you have. Then you have just click on generate data, and afterwards it's going to, we are generating the macro. You have some additional information like status. You can see whether the macro is generating or is there something wrong with the system. But it works pretty fine, so don't worry about that. And finally, you can just import data or just place the macro. And finally, if something is not working, you can just contact us directly by support. And this is actually the really point that I like to talk about, because this support button is really great. So because of the new development, so our reaction time is no longer than 1 day. So after launch of this project, product, we had, I would say immediately after 2 days, some feedback and also negative feedback about some errors or stuff that's not working correctly, and we were able to make the bug fixing in 1 day. So it was 1 day of bug fixing, and next day it was relaunched in the system. So those customers that were giving us the feedback, they were really amazing. So they said, oh, it's impossible. So Rexroth, in the past, this was 1 year, and now 1 day. So it's like ages. And finally, okay, so all of you are experts, so I'm not going to explain that. So we are, of course, able to generate two views. So this one is one device-oriented view. It's more about representation of electrical device in all. And the second one, this is the functional oriented view. We are talking here in this case more about some circuit diagrams that are specific for different layouts that we are just integrating. But I wanted to just show you that we are supporting this as well. So I see this, okay, it's really not easy to read it, but the products that you can find in your library today, there are actually 3 products that are generated automatically. And the first one is the intradrive control unit. This is actually the control unit in our drives. This is we have approximately the combination of 500 variation that we are delivering. The second one is about the power unit. You can find them there as well, and we have approximately a combination of 11. And finally, we have some Indradin. This is the servo motor. There is variation of above 1,000. It looks not so much, but I will. This is actually the point during the project we did. We started up in the mid of 2016 with the company with EPLAN, and I had some discussion according to with Mr. Heim, with Mrs. Müller about how we are going to do that. So where would we have to start, or what are we? Okay, well, what are you talking about? We didn't have no idea how many competencies do we need, which guys do we need, how much time does it take, and so on. So we've started this in 2016. And then we had some initial meetings with colleagues from EPLAN. We are just talking about the product we are just going to do. We've showed them how many products do we have, what about the combination of the products, and it was really great because they've helped us to say to just make some step-by-step definition how we are just going to go through. So we are actually guided by this during this project. And some of you said, okay, it took 15 days. It was planned 15 days for support, and we didn't use that. In our case, we used this time because in this by the products that we have, it was not so easy as we thought. And we've started here, and we did a first layout. And actually, the correct one would be to say we have actually implementation and layout. They are just overlapping pretty strong. The problem from us was we've started with this project, and we've noticed there's a lot of stuff all around. It's not working precisely. First of all, databases. So we have some database for sales, we have some database for software development, we have some database for hardware development, we have some different information sources, but they are usually not the same. They had all information that we need, but in different places. So we said, okay, so it's quite difficult. So we are just not going to make the solution for that and implement those 3 different or 5 different databases. We want to have a one-to-one. And it was quite challenging for us, because then I went to our guys from different projects and said, it's not the way. We want to make the really good solution, but for that I need one database with information. And you can imagine how easy it was that to convince them about making a change in the product, or I would say in the platform. It's not that easy as you think. The second point was we started up and we've noticed our macros. What kind of additional information do we need? Well, do we need some dimensions? Okay, so it's not about electric, but we need some additional information like CAD. So if you want to have the modular system, so for me it was clear. So if I have a component, let's say the drive, so I have a circuit diagram, I have a documentation, and I have also our CAD drawing for that. Maybe at the very beginning at 2D and afterwards 3D. And what was the end of the this trip? So I was in our construction department and I've asked them, okay guys, I want to have the modules. And they told me, how modules? We have the complete, we have no modules, we have only the complete entire system, and if you need something, so we can just copying out and give you that. And it's like, no. I explaining you also that in the construction, you will have modules. That those modules should be reused in our platform and give further to our customers. And it was also quite a really good solution for our products, because this is the way how we are just tidying up all the, I would say, areas where it's not working really well. So finally, I'm going to implementation. This is the 3 products. So actually, if you are looking on these 3 products, it took approximately 70% of the time, implementation time, to define the platform, and the rest, the really rest time was needed to implement some macros for this product. It's not like a rocket scientist. It was pretty easy. But first of all, you have to define the platform, how to do this. You have to define how we are just going to implement it. What are the rules, so that not only one developer is going to do that in the future, but some others. I don't care. We have a development department in China. We have development department in India. So we're just going to say, okay, this is the rules. This is the products. Just do that. And that's why it took a little bit longer and looks not for so much for the product, but it was necessary to do that. And finally, we are in this year in training and launching the product on the Hanover Messe, Hanover Trade. And this is actually our launch of the product. And now I go further, and I'd like to focus a little bit on the architecture of us. I think I was trying to make the picture that it's not so complicated, because that's why I don't look on this transparency behind. Just we should stay just on the surface. So it means this one part, this is actually the customer, and this is actually the security reasons. The Bosch is pretty wicked if you are talking about security. They are really aware of any interruptions or some attacks from outside. That's why we have a system that is pretty isolated from outside. So this is the customer. So it's you. And this is actually our global network. This is where all developers are working. And we have something between. It's not the man in the middle, but it's something between, just the Bosch IoT cloud. So this system is pretty separated from outside. And there's an only, I would say, very, very small doors to outside to the customer. And in this area of Bosch Cloud, we have two systems. One, this is the development system. So this is the system we are working with, all developers are working with. We are just doing testing and launching new products, and we are just looking whether the system is still stable. We have some automatic tests we are just running on it, and if we are sure that all the system runs correctly, then we are just moving that to the production space. And in the moment we are just move the system to the production space, then it's online. So this is actually then is the can be for you. I'm not going to just dive inside because we have some specific systems. So we have virtual machines in it. We have some services that we are using from the cloud infrastructure. So we are just sending emails automatically. We can have different statistics. That's very helpful. We can just look whether the system is in which condition is it. We have load balancing. So there's a lot of stuff we are using in it. And this is actually all about scaling effects. So all the cloud you see here comes from Bosch. And if you are in the Bosch group, so we are just using this. We are just consuming this. And this is all about scaling. So we didn't invest actually nothing in the development of this platform. We took it from Bosch. We said, okay, what we are just going to do. We had one day kickoff with them and some critical questions, or in principle some question according to how can we combine those two words, so EEC and cloud word, and then we did it. And it works pretty fine. And this is actually the view on the dashboard. It looks pretty easy. This is on the one hand side, you've seen the architecture picture, and this is what our developers looking usually on. So we have this production system, we have this development space, we have some service space. So in case of problems, we have different services that we can run. So we are talking about the condition of the system. We can see whether there is some security problems, and this is actually all about that. And behind those blue color, usually at the first time you can see something like that. So you see how many apps are running there, in which conditions are they. So it means are they running, stop, or are they crashed? If they crash, so the system is sending us an email automatically that the system has a problem. And you have some services, for instance, das here. This is actually the database. What kind of database is going to be used there? You have some information according to email. So email, sending the email, and logging. So we have Benutzerverwaltung. I don't know the English word for that, but it's also here integrated. And this is all about simplicity. So we are just trying to create solutions not only for customers that are simple, but also for us, for our developer. It has to be simple, because we've heard today morning the number of information that are coming from outside are really great and big. And then we have to just look how can we just control all of them. So now I moved to Outlook, and actually I was also at the very beginning of this presentation thinking about starting actually with this picture, because we are talking here about Roundtrip Engineering. What is this Roundtrip Engineering? Roundtrip engineering, so it is about shrink the development time that you have. So on the one hand side, we have our internal Rexroth engineering systems. And if you want to set up a system, so you need some to make some configuration. For instance, if you have a drive and you have control units and you have some HMI, so this has to be configured in one system. It's called IntraWorks. So we are using actually a lot of components from us. We are just making the configuration, and if it runs, so you can just download the program into the system, onto your hardware. But actually today we were talking about other way around. Who is the first? Usually the construction is the first, the construction engineer, and afterwards is coming EPLAN engineering, and so this is the point where we say if the EPLAN engineering has his, I would say, circuits ready to use, so we want to reuse this information from EPLAN Engineering Center and put them automatically to our IntraWorks system. And we started actually the project with this. We had our static macros, we put them, we had all the workflow ready. We put them inside to the system, and we've noticed actually we have not enough data. So the data we have, those macros we have, are not enough for this what we are going to do. So we had some lack of information, we had wrong information, and this is actually kind of validation we did. This was the first touch with the system where we said, boah, we want to do that, but we have the information base, the database is crap. That's why we did a step behind and said, okay, first of all, we are just going to repair our data. We have to have a pretty clear and transparent database, and we want to have pretty good and high quality macros. And then, if it's ready, we are just going to make step ahead and invest this system, Roundtrip Engineering. That's why this is just the story behind, and this is actually the next step we are just going to make. Of course, we have a lot of products. This is the Excel list you've seen before. We have a lot of products that we need also macros as well. But I would say this is just doing. So we know how to do this, and we are just investing in next year a little bit capacity in that to fulfill the expectation of our customers. And short recap from this presentation, what we did. So it took approximately 1 year to finish the project. The major focus was to develop the platform, and then the second one was more focused on the macro development. So what we have achieved a very short delivery time. I was talking about 1 day, and it's indeed like that. So we need approximately 1 day, and we are ready with the bug fixing of your problem. So the response time is really shrinked from 1 year to 1 day. Oh, sorry. What we have also is the quality, and this is actually the point. During this work, we defined a few processes that allows us to have a really significant increase in the quality of our macros, in the quality of the software. So we did it actually, as we know that from the software development, so we had some automatic tests, we had some unit tests and so on. So we everywhere where we could put that this technology of automatic testing, we did it as well. Those informations, additional information, so previous informations like documentation, CAD drawings, and macros are all included in the system. So if you are just generating your macro, all those informations are there. So, and last but not least, we are talking about the cloud solution. So we integrated all the architecture in a cloud solution that gives us a lot of flexibility. It's scaled and give us also because of security reasons, highly demand on the customer side. So I think this was a win-win situation for us as well. it was the last slide. Thank you for your attention. I hope it was not too long. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate it and put it on them. Thank you.